Hello and welcome to Motor Controls. In this video we're going to discuss our up-down counter. So our up-down counter is already wired up. So we have our up counter wired to push button 2. So when we press push button 2, the counter will count how many times push button 2 has been pressed. Our down count is wired to push button 1. So whenever we press push button 1, our count will go down however many times we count push button 1. And it will also go into the negative numbers. So we have pushed the down button more than we have pushed the up button. And we notice our lamp 2 is lit. So our lamp 2 is wired to the normally closed contact of our counter. Lamp 1 is wired to the normally open contacts of our counter. So if we press our up button till we get to 6, this is our accumulated value and this is our preset value. So we set the counter to count to 6. And when the counter has reached 6, the contacts change from the normally closed to the normally open. And then we have our selector switch wired to the reset button. So we will reset our counter back to 0. If we want to change our preset values, we have toggle switches at the bottom. The first switch changes the first digit. The second switch changes the second digit. And you cannot go down, you have to go all the way around to get back to 1. So now we have it set for 12. So we hit the up button 12 times and our contacts will change from the normally closed to the normally open. Our out is energized, meaning that the output is on. This is the wiring diagram for our counter. You will notice that our counter has 120 volts to 140 volts AC. Depending on the counter will determine what type of source voltage that will be connected to the counter. In our case, we're going to connect 120 volts to terminals 1 and terminals 2. That will be the power to supply power to our counter. You will notice that terminals 3, 4, and 5 are the contacts for our counter. So in our case, we're going to put 24 volts on terminal 3, and then the normally closed contacts will be connected to terminal 5. In our case, terminal 5 is connected to our yellow light, and terminal 4 is connected to our green light. So when our accumulated value equals our preset value, the timer contacts will change and it will go from the normally closed to closed and normally open, and our green light will come on and our yellow light will go off. And then when our preset value does not equal our accumulated value, the normally closed contacts are energized and our yellow light will come on. To make our counter count up, we have to use the terminals on the top of our counter. The counter has an internal power supply that the common for that power supply is on 6. So we have our terminal 6 connected to our selector switch to cause it to reset. We have it connected to push button 2 to cause it to count up, and we have it connected to push button 1 to cause it to count down. So our power will come out of our counter and it will go through our buttons, and whenever we have continuity here, it will reset our counter. When we have continuity here, it will cause our counter to count up. And we have continuity here, it will cause our counter to count down. That's how we're going to wire our counter. On the inside of our trainer, you will notice that terminal 1 and terminal 2 is connected to our 120 volts supplied from our trainers. So we have the black wire is going to our L1, the white wire is going to our neutral. It is running along our trainer to terminal 1 and to terminal 2. You will notice that we have 3 wires on our contacts. Terminal 3 is connected to our 24 volt supply. Terminal 4 is connected to our green light, and terminal 5 is connected to our yellow light. And then you notice on the top of our counter, we have wire 6 that is connected to our selector switch, our push buttons, And then we have our selector switch coming back on terminal 7. We have push button 2 on terminal 8 and push button 3 on terminal 9. So if you notice on our terminal strip, we have our negative for our lights going back to the negative. We have this wire, which is attached to terminal 4, and this wire, which is attached to terminal 5. And then you notice that we have 6 connected to our selector switch, and then we have it jumpered over to our push button 1 and then push button 2. And then each of these wires go to their corresponding terminals on the counter to make it count up and to count down. That is how we're going to wire up our counters. Thank you for watching this video.